Yes.
Are you able to give them a few reminders about the truth of life?
Well, yeah, not, I think acting certain ways, and yeah, hold on, we're gonna
Reminders
move.
about what is good and kusala.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that I don't know, at that age, you don't use words like that. But
No, but still.
yeah. I mean, I think,
Why don't you just stay here? Because while you're talking, you're below the girls and they can hear you. Okay, so just stay here.
we're having a discussion about where is a good place to sit.
Okay, I'll leave you to that discussion, and I'll
Okay.
say hello, Midnight Alberto. How are you? 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning?
Yeah, 2:30.
2:30, okay. You're used to it, yes.
Not too bad anyway. Yeah.
Does your mother wake up when you get up at this time?
I hope not.
I remember it was your favorite time for calling her when you were in Thailand, calling her at 2:30 in Thailand, Bangkok time.
Yeah. It's good to break the sleep, I think. I think sleep is overvalued a little bit.
Especially when it's just the nonsense dreaming part of the sleep.
Yeah, that's the best part.
It'd be nice to be able to choose which parts to skip and keep the deep sleep and skip the dreaming part. But all anatta. Hello, Asita. Sawadika Kunopadam.
Good morning.
Morning, Asita.
And of course, there is the sutta in which the Buddha says that the better the understanding, the better the sleeping, what the quality of the sleeping is.
So less sleep
Yes,
because better quality is needed, yes. And then for the arahat, no dreaming at all.
So, but no point in dreaming about having no dreams.
And I remember in the sutta about metta, about the benefit of good thoughts, metta, one sleeps well, and it's true. The more kusala, the better the sleep.
Yeah, and so yeah, Dhamma discussions must be the best sleeping pill in the world.
So after
Among the other
after this discussion, will you go back to sleep?
Oh yeah, sleep like a baby.
Hello, Anne. Evening, Anne. Morning, Sundara. Ajahn, are you here?
Morning, Sarah. Takes a
Morning,
while sometimes.
Sundara.
Takes a while for everything to get to fall into line.
Hello, Anne. You with us now? We can't hear you though.
Can you hear me now?
No, good. Yes.
Good. Thank you.
Yes. Ajahn, are you here now?
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, clearly now. Sawadika, Ajahn.
สวัสดีครับอาจารย์ครับ
ครับอาจารย์
Sawadika, Ajahn.
สวัสดีค่ะ
Sundar, at the end of the Vietnamese discussion, you brought up a question. It was relating to helping others. Someone had mentioned going on meditation retreats, and Ajahn asked, and you brought up a question about helping others who have wrong understanding and mentioned the word, and Ajahn asked you what meditation was, and you started to give a definition, and she mentioned, no, not the words, what appears now. And then I think you were saying difficult to help those who don't appreciate the true Dhamma or think about retreats. Anything else you want to ask about it or continue with the discussion?
There's just a couple of points. Firstly, we were talking yesterday about ottappa. I just wanted to make a couple of comments regarding ottappa. I was thinking about it, and I'd done some research on it earlier on with regards another email. Ottappa composes of two. It's often, as you know, described as having or being scrupulous, and I think you touched on the fact that sometimes scrupulous morally, but sometimes it's very difficult, and ultimately, of course, words can only point in the right direction or point in a direction, if you like, because sometimes, no matter how much you may point, for some people, they'll still go down the wrong direction. So it seems to me. So the word ottappa is composed of two components, which is ud and tappati, the verb tappati. So it literally means, tappati means to burn or to scorch. The word ut, the prefix, means beyond. So it literally means beyond burning or beyond scorching, which I think is quite helpful rather than some of the other translations we have of ottappa. And that, of course, points to the nature of nibbana, which is kind of no burning anymore, ultimately. Now, the question that Thanajan, why I commented was that, I think Thanajan, as I recall, talked about it's good to try and assist people or to speak the Dhamma and to people in situations, all situations, or something along those lines. And I commented that sometimes it seems to me that, excuse me, it seems to me that sometimes some people are not ready for the Dhamma or seem to indicate that they are not really willing to accept certain ways of seeing the Dhamma, which we have come to appreciate are important. The study of it in the pariyatti, that aspect that you spoke about yesterday, or with the in the Taiwanese discussion about Satchinyana. So, and many people just seem to have this aspect of, going to a certain place or, posturing in a certain way. And we know that that's not helpful. And I guess I was commenting primarily, and my question perhaps also blended into a comment as well, that, and perhaps my question now would be, well, given the scenarios that some people are so locked into sometimes with regards their views about how to follow the Dhamma, that's what they strongly believe, because there is a lot of, shall we say, encouragement for them from sources which we would prefer they didn't have, but there are conditions which, there are people who do push them or nudge them down on that path, which is not helpful. So perhaps, a rather long-winded question, what is the better thing to do at times when people it seem to be really very much ensnared, if you like, by a certain way of seeing Dhamma. Well, perhaps I'll just leave it at that for the time being.
I'll just make one comment and then let Ajahn speak in more depth. I think that sometimes in these circumstances, we think about what is the better thing to do. Should we keep quiet? Should we speak more? Should we show them a sutta? Should we encourage them to join the Zoom? So we're always thinking about what to do instead of understanding what is now, understanding the citta now. Is it kusala now, kindness, caring, or is it worry and being disturbed, trying to think of what I should do? And are there any expectations? For example, who knows when someone may appreciate the truth even a little, but if there are expectations that they will listen more because they've joined a few Zooms or joined a few discussions, and then disappointment when it's not the way we would like. So the best is just help with kusala cittas, of course, not minding about the results, not minding whether one person's interested or 100 people are interested. And of course, the way of the world is with ignorance and attachment. So of course, very few people are going to accept or be interested in pariyatti understanding or the truth about dharmas even a little. But that's how it is. Even the Buddha couldn't help everyone who came to see him or listen to him. So how about for us with so little understanding? So I think rather than think too much about what I should do or what I shouldn't do or which is the way, just the best is have confidence in understanding and kusala cittas, no matter where it leads, no matter whether one speaks or doesn't speak, because that's all by conditions. But I'll let Ajahn add more.
Yes, I think that we all come to discuss on the truth, about the truth, not just want to help this one to change one's wrong idea or anything at all, because it's impossible to try to do anything to help or to whatever, but it's moment of understanding what is there in a moment, which is in life, each moment. Otherwise, just live the whole life without any understanding the truth of what is there at all. Even it's there, it's not known at all when there's no attention to the what is the truth of now, which is so short. If you don't have such thought about the truth of life, there will never be any moment of understanding the truth of what is there in life at all. That's why when we come together and discuss about the truth of what is there in a moment, to understand it. And at the same time, anyone who have different ideas can talk about different ideas to discuss whether what is true and what is not true. That's all. That's why we cannot have just our own idea about the truth without listening to the truth and thinking, considering whether it's true or not, or what is it at this very moment. For example, those who do not come to discuss on the truth, they go away doing something they like from birth to death. But those who have heard about the truth of a moment in life, And before hearing that, no attention, no interest to understand it at all. But about this moment, see, is there a moment now? And what is it? Is it known that it's gone and so on? Can condition the understanding, the interest of the use of understanding is better than no understanding of the truth at all. That's why those who see the benefit of understanding what is there, a moment, each moment in life, come to discuss on the truth, whether it's true or not, that's all. It depends on each one, whether they think this way or that way. But the words at moment of discussion can condition moment of understanding what is there as it is. For example, we talk about seeing right now because it's there. And what is it? Before talking about it, it is I all the time. I see what is there now. But when we talk about it, what is seeing? It's a reality. It's conditioned because before seeing, there's no seeing. And then there is seeing. How come? No one makes it arise, but it's there already. That's why we have to consider carefully what is the benefit of talking about seeing to understand the truth. Even it's not realized clearly at moment when it's there, just one reality, seeing is seeing, to understand what is there in life. What is it? There is seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, thinking, liking, disliking, and so on. From day to day, from moment to moment, from birth to death, that's all. No understanding at all about what is there as it is in a moment. So now we talk about seeing again and again to have confidence of the truth, whether it's that which is conditioned, arising, seeing, and then gone. Is that true? And the moment when it's there, without other reality together at all, it appears well because it's just that which is there to be known. And there must be the condition for that moment too. That's why we talk about the truth for anyone to consider it, to have different idea, and what is right and what is wrong depends on understanding that can it be known? Seeing is what? It experiences or we see, or we can say it sees. Sees what? There must be that which is seen, and what is seen has to impinge on the eye base. What is there at the back cannot be seen at all because it can arise to see only that which impinges on the eye base. That's all. Is it true? For example, close one's eyes. What appears when one opens one's eye is much different. So many things at once. How come? Instantly. But when one closes one's eye, it's all gone. Is that true? Who makes it that way? See, learn to understand the truth more and more and more. It depends on who understands what is there so true. That is not anyone is conditioned to arise and fall away. No matter what, it begins to understand what is life, what is there in a moment, what is there has to be a reason by conditions. That's all. Begin to understand the truth little by little. This is the way to let go. Ignorance, attachment, and other unwholesome moments, taking that for I all the time, no matter it is kusla or akusla. So the truth is that is there anyone? And what if it's there? What is that? Seeing arises by conditions just to see and then gone. Whenever it arises, it's conditioned just to see and then gone. Is that true? When it's true, what about hearing, smelling, tasting, touching? When there is the understanding of no matter what is conditioned there to arise, it has its own characteristic and its own nature. Seeing, hearing is the reality which experiences an object whenever it arises. And whatever arises is not permanent at all. It's conditioned to arise, only to arise, to see, and then gone. It's conditioned to arise, to hear, and then gone. Is that true? That's why from birth up to now and to death, there are what that can be seen, heard, smelled, tasted, and touched, and thought about all those that has been there and then gone so instantly that no one can think about it. Can anyone think about it? Close your eyes. Nothing is there as it when it's moment of seeing at all in life, and gone. Each moment arises and falls away instantly. So where's the I? Without understanding, what appears always appears as something instantly, but in truth, the moment is so short, shorter than it appears as something, because it has to be realized, it has to be experienced first, and then followed by many, many different in life today and every day. That's why learn to understand the truth, what is there. So it's not trying to do anything to understand whatever, because it's there right now. So Buddha just thought about the truth. Do not concern about that which is gone and that which hasn't come yet. Because now it is conditioned, it's there, appearing. So the moment of understanding is right now, not the other moment at all. And how can be the understanding of the truth without any word? Can one just try to concentrate on it, to understand it? Impossible. How can it be known without any understanding of it from hearing and considering that it's so true that it's there, different from other moment? That's why just consider the truth of what is heard, one reality at a time. That's all. And when it's right understanding, it's no one, because it's gone, and then that condition for ignorance and attachment and other reality instantly, all by conditions in life. That's why sometimes it's pleasant happening, sometimes it's unpleasant happening. No one at all. So this life, condition next life, because life goes on from moment to moment. Who can stop it? Just a moment ago gone, who knows? And this moment is there and then gone, who knows? But the truth is that, isn't it? Each moment arises and falls away continually until it gets on and on to be tomorrow, different from this moment now. Is it right? How come to be tomorrow? From now, arising and falling away, moment to moment, until when it's tomorrow, we think that it's not yesterday. But right now, it would be yesterday of tomorrow, because it's gone and gone and gone. And tomorrow, next year, and so next month, and so on and on and on, never to return. And what is death? It's there when time comes by conditions, and as soon as it falls away, it conditioned by way of anantarapatya and other conditions. condition the next moment. Different life for sure, like yesterday and today. But it's not just yesterday and today. Anyone who likes to travel, to see the new things that hasn't been seen before, would you like to travel? Again and again and again. And what about travel to the next world? Would you like to experience that? Like new place? And who can condition that? Patisanti, see, condition to travel on and on from moment to moment to the next world, and then the end of that life continue on by Patisanti, travel again. Who knows where it takes you to, but pleasant or unpleasant place and so on. That's why it's the truth. Just consider the truth. It's the great understanding of that which is now, not permanent at all, but no understanding, just one reality at a time. It's not trying to separate it, to concentrate on just one object. It's still I. No understanding of that moment, how it's conditioned to be moment of seeing, moment of thinking, moment of interest, moment of like or dislike, moment of effort, try to do something, but no understanding. What is the result of trying to do something? To do, but no understanding of this moment. Is that right? While one is trying to do, to concentrate, or what you said, to meditate, is there any understanding of what is there now? Not the past or the future. It's there by condition. That's why understanding Dhamma is not understanding or trying to do anything to have it arise, but understanding what is there already now. That it's conditioned and it's gone. Each word of the teachings of the Buddha about what is there to be known, no matter it's karma or vipaka or whatever, there can be the understanding of what is it? Is it now? If it's not now, how can it be known? So just come together to discuss on what is there in a moment to understand the truth, just to understand the truth. It's not just to do something to what? No understanding of this moment. So how can there be the understanding of next moment? That's why there is pariyatti, patipatti, and patimetta of the truth, all four noble truths. Otherwise, what is the truth? To be known if it's not now, this moment. So just consider what one has heard to discuss on it, to understand the deeper truth, very subtle truth that can be understood stage by stage, from moment to moment. If there's no understanding of this moment, how can be the understanding of that which is there? By trying so hard to understand it, but no word about the truth of it at all. So it's I select what is there to be done, not the all dhammas are anatta. And when there is the understanding of what is meant by Dhamma, it's real, it's there to be known or not to be known, depending on conditions. So when there's no understanding of this moment, is it the understanding of Dhamma. So what is Dhamma if it's not now to be studied to realize the truth when it's there? So very subtle to understand the truth, but it can be considered, reconsidered, considered again and again in all aspects, not just one aspect. For example, what is sati? What is citta? What is virya? See, no word about it to be understood. Sati is not any other reality at all. So what is it? Is it not sati which arises to be aware of the reality, the characteristic of it, with right understanding, to understand it gradually, little by little, by conditions? Because nothing can arise without conditions at all. So it just discuss on the truth, about the truth, that's all. Is it right? After hearing about the truth, if it's not right, what is right?
Yeah, I think that's beautifully expressed, Tanajan. Of course, I'm sure there are many of us here who would have similar sentiments, similar feelings. Excuse me. And when at times, and you've already answered this really, Tanajan, by your magnificent answer, that there are some people who just, no matter what, will not want to hear what you say. And because their accumulations, their habits are such that it continually takes them down a path that what seems to be unhelpful, but they are determined to pursue that path because that's what seems correct to them.
So they don't want to understand seeing, hearing, smelling, what is there in a day. Is that right?
That seems to be true, Tanajan.
So all depends on conditions, the accumulation, the upanisya so strong. By conditions, not that person or any person at all, just the way Dhamma is. Nobody can change the pajya at all. It's conditioned more and more, more and more, more and more, not to be interested in understanding, seeing right now, thinking right now, everything right now. Just want to do. So what is that wanting? Isn't it I, atta, or anatta?
Yeah, that's what seems to be the problem. However, as you've just alluded to, Tanajan, they would prefer the quiet place or whatever, because that does not seem, it seems that seeing right now, as you spoke to and remind us of often, does not seem to be enough. So they want to, by their own view, want to do continually something else and do not want to hear what is truthful, it would seem to me.
So what is peaceful?
Oh, Yes, that's the question, Tanachan. What is peaceful?
If they do not like to talk about seeing, what would they like to talk about?
They would like to talk about the quiet place. It seems to me,
What is the place? What is the quiet place?
that seems more appealing than seeing.
The place itself, can it experience anything? And when one takes it for place, then what is that? That which is
Well,
seen or touched or what?
well, we would say that that's just more attachment, and yet it seems to me that that attachment is not easy to see much of the time, or perhaps all of the time.
When nothing arises at all, can there be attachment?
There has to be something arising, Tanajan.
So what is that attachment? Or what is that which sees the object of attachment? And
It's
what is
usually
that together at that moment?
more attachment.
So no, nothing at all, just wanting by ignorance, no understanding. That's why there can be question to consider the truth if one is interested in understanding the truth. The truth can be known because it's there now so true. So what is the truth of that which is there? Not just the truth of that one thought about.
Yeah, that's a good point, Tanajan, because we mostly just think about it. And as you're just alluding to, thinking about it is not enough. Whereas I think some people get really stuck with thinking about it and would prefer, it seems to me, to go to the more conducive or more helpful place, so they don't have to think carefully about it and just sit or whatever.
So the way is just to question for the answer, to be right answer about the truth. For example, is there seeing right now?
Yes, Tanjan.
Don't you want to understand the truth of it? Because it's there so true. If it has no reason, how can it be there? And what conditioned it?
Mm.
It's not the place yet, just right now. Because no matter in what place, there must be seeing, no understanding of it. So what's the use of going there? Not to understand what is there right now. To be understood or not, impossible.
Well, while we can appreciate that understanding is vital and is crucial for the development, it seems that there are people who question how valid that perspective is.
May I come into this conversation?
Yes, certainly. certainly.
Go ahead, Anne. Yes, I lost. I don't know if Ajahn or Sundara was talking, but we seem to lose the sound. But carry on. Anne.
Yes. Gosh, what was it? Oh, Sundar, you question, other people basically not sharing the same views. Is that correct? They just they don't agree with it. And I'm thinking that's very, and it's very difficult to sort of get through that and move into a place where other people are open to what we might say with regard to the understanding, to right understanding. But it's very, from their perspective, they think exactly the same as us. I shouldn't do a we and us, but from the perspective of someone or a wrong understanding, those who adhere to it will think exactly the same as of our perspective, our belief in what right understanding is. So it's very, very difficult. I think Ajahn suggestions, well, you have to try to draw people to the right, to right now, to the moment now. That's so hard to do, as you've said. But I think Ajahn's suggestions of questioning things about seeing and what is real now is really the only way one can go at it. Because if people are not inclined to entertain the idea of right understanding, it will be fought all the way.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what you're saying there, and I think what precipitated my question yesterday was that Ajahn was speaking about that sometimes that it's good to ask questions and speak to the truth of Dhamma. And it occurred to me that sometimes, and we know, and Sarah, I believe, alluded to this morning, that I think the Buddha said that, I believe there are four times that the Buddha speak, four times to just, I'm just trying to remember how it's qualified, but the Buddha said that there is a time, if, for example, he will answer at times, he'll give a yes answer, he'll give a no answer, or he'll give there will be silence, or he will elaborate on that yes or no answer. And we know he was silent sometimes because, well, for different reasons. One I understand is that he is silent because if that person distorts what he's saying, even though that person cannot understand it, that will not bode well for that fellow who doesn't understand it and spreads the Dhamma in a distorted way. So he remains silent. He does it in some respects. He doesn't speak out of compassion for the harm that may come to that fellow. There is another reason also. It's just not. He's just going nowhere, and he doesn't waste his time where it's not worthwhile. So I think sometimes, and that probably happened to some extent this morning, that silence is golden, as they say sometimes. That you can't keep on pushing that ball uphill, and sometimes, like the Buddha himself realized that sometimes that time might be the right conditions, but that those moments where you perhaps do invest some time trying to assist, shall we say, that person have a better understanding of Dhamma, as did happen with the fellow Upakya, who the Buddha spoke to just after his enlightenment, and he was skeptical of what the Buddha said, but latterly in his life he remembered what the Buddha had said and did come back to him and was subsequently enlightened. So sometimes there are just the seeds of truth that are valuable, and in time they can bear fruit. However, in the case of Upakya, that was the Buddha. But I think we can take heart from that and what Tanajan and what Sarah was saying this morning, that yes, it can be helpful regardless almost of the situation, and it may or may not bear seed or bear fruit, So it's worthwhile, we could say, to pursue what is true and with a good heart, with kusala ideally, with understanding ideally also, and then yes, it may bear fruit in time.
So we don't talk.
Looks like we've lost Tanajan again.
So can you hear me now?
Yes, Ajahn.
Yes, we can hear you,
Ajahn.
Tanajan.
Okay. We do not talk about the truth to everyone we know. Is that right? But
True.
we have some discussion for those who are interested to understand the ultimate truth of each moment, because it's conditioned to be birthed, to see, to hear, and on and on. We born to die, we born to see, we born to hear, and so on, and then all gone. Is it true? We just talk about what is there, what is not there yet, right now. If you would like to understand something, can it be understood when it's not there to be learned? But what is there now? If there's no interest to understand it, expecting for the object that you'd like to experience or understand it, but it's not there at all. And whether it will be there or not, who knows? So what about to be truthful to the truth? Only discussion on the truth for anyone who who is interested in understanding the truth. And the understanding works its way, because so much to be understood right now, now, all other not be understood yet. So just to understand this moment is so very, very precious. Otherwise, how that can be understanding of the other moment later in life. So just only about those who are interested to understand the truth, because they realize that life is short or long, we don't know, but it has to be death sooner or later, and without understanding anything at all, it's go on by condition, like this life is by condition, non-stop at all. But what is wrong or what is useless when we talk about the truth of what is there? To be the moment of beginning to understand the truth, which is there, appears not as it is at all. So what is the truth of that moment? Can it be known, or it cannot be known at all? When it can be known, is it useless? Is it rubbish to understand that? It depends on each one. Accumulation by conditions. Upanisya Pachaya. No one can do anything at all. So no one can do anything to the other to make them believe or so on. It depends on conditions. All depend on conditions. Is that right? Whatever arises, all Sankhara Dhamma, is conditioned to arise, and then anicca, dukkha, anatta. Just learn to understand whether it's true or not. Only that, because actually, no one at all. It's just right understanding and wrong understanding, different ones. So when it's wrong, what is wrong? It can be subject of discussion. But not for everyone, only on those who really interested to understand the truth, and the truth can be gradually understood.
I think that's very true, Tanajan. Excuse me, Tanajan Cup. I think that's very true. There has to be a genuine interest and a curiosity about the truth, and it seems at times there are people who are so entrenched or so determined about their view being the view, that it's next to impossible for them to progress in Dhamma, it would seem to me.
So
I think, sorry, Ajahn, carry on.
So anyone who is not interested in understanding the truth, no one can do anything at all, because actually each moment is conditioned by its proper conditions.
Yes, that's really what I was going to say. I think Anne made a good point when she said, well, others think the same way about us, that we're so entrenched in our views and not interested to hear the truth as they see it. But we fall into the same trap of thinking of those people who are not interested, or those people entrenched. We forget they're just different dharmas that are conditioned by different accumulations. It's actually not this person or that person. It's not someone who has the entrenched view or the wrong view. Otherwise, we're just thinking the same way as them, but giving it a different label. So there has to be the appreciation that they are just dharmas that are conditioned Pakatu Upanisya Pachya for different accumulations. And who knows, like now, moments of right understanding, moments of wrong understanding, when we think of this person and that person as having this or that view. So just different dharmas, and appreciating that the seeing now, the understanding now, the wrong understanding now, the ignorance now is conditioned. That's how it has to be. So I think it's the way that there are less expectations, that it can be any other way. Who knows where accumulations will lead? Who knows about this year, next life? No one knows at all. Just different moments by conditions.
So can we talk about meditation to understand deeper what is exactly is to be known, to understand whether it's true or not? If it's not true, what is true? That can be discussion.
I think the main point is, as soon as there's the idea that I can do something, I can focus, I can concentrate, I can have calm arise at this place or at this time or in this posture, the clinging to I always hinders the right understanding and always leads to more clinging and more expectation and more difficulty and disturbance in life. So that's why we have to come back to talking about seeing now, hearing now, kusala dhammas, akusala dhammas, to appreciate no one to do anything, nothing under anyone's control. and the development of understanding. Bhavana has nothing to do with I concentrating, I focusing, I having certain results by being in a quiet place. But as everyone has said, these views are very deeply entrenched, and it's not the fault of the other teachers, it's the fault, if we use that word, of ignorance and wrong understanding that's been accumulated for aeons and aeons. The strong wish to control, to make certain kinds of dharmas arise, to change the personality, to have more goodness, and so on.
So,
We've lost you again, Ajahn.
so is it wrong to ask, what is I, or is there I? See, discussion on the truth. Because the idea of I meditate, or what is it which is not I there, then what reality?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question to ask Tanajan, to question the nature of what is I and what can I do, are very relevant and very pertinent, I feel, always. It's an excellent question to ask. And I'm just imagining the answer that some people may give, which would, again, so if we imagine Tanajan, the person would say, yes, well, I know there's no such thing as an I, that they know theoretically the truth of anatta. They say they believe in that because that is the nature of Dhamma. However, they still feel that they need to go to the certain place or whatever, and they do not see that contradiction between the truth of anatta and their desire to pursue another path. They do not see that contradiction.
I'm just thinking, what is there an I? What is the I? And I think what you've said, Sundara, about not seeing the contradiction is quite, yeah, that's it. And they don't. I'm wondering if the people who the people who are devoted to meditation, the question always comes out, who is meditating? Well, then what is meditating? Who, like, or what is doing the meditating? It's, I guess if it's get discussed time to time, maybe there'll be somebody will say, wait a minute, there's no self, but who's got me here? If they don't understand conditionality, then it'll be very difficult. I realize that understanding conditions is not the same as right understanding, but it's involved.
Yes, certainly it's involved, and I think we're probably coming back to the point where there can be a seed sown for some people, but we know that's not always the case, especially when some people have invested so much time, effort, and energy, not particularly smart, we may say. So it's perhaps trusting at some measure that a seed has been sown. And also, I think, and Sarah has alluded to this, is that to be aware that the path is presently arising, the development of the path is in the present moment. rather than, the other place. So that there can be, and what I'm perhaps trying to allude to here is that I think rather than trying to put our view, which can be done with akusala, I know that's so, having more, being aware of pushing an agenda, even though we may feel it's correct, and being prepared to sow the seed with kusala in the other's heart, so that there is perhaps more conditions then for there to be some understanding. But I feel trusting in that belief that perhaps a seed can be sown, like the Buddha did with Upaka, that he may have been skeptical when the Buddha said that he was the all-conquering one. As I can imagine, many people would have felt skeptical that the Buddha just recently enlightened was the fully enlightened one. And we can say, as some people today are, they are skeptical when they hear what the truth involves. And I think compassion is always called for. I'm talking about kusala compassion, of course, rather than, pushing a certain perspective which we may trust in, but the others are still skeptical about.
Even the teachings of the Buddha is for considering, understanding by oneself whether it's true or not. It's not just belief at all. So whatever doubt can be considered, can be subject of discussion to understand the truth of whatever is there. Anyone who can answer is the one who knows. Anyone who cannot answer, what about that person's thought? So is it useful to ask for the one who is asked to think about it carefully? And what the answer is, it depends on, can there be more discussion on that subject?
Yeah, I think there can always be more discussion, Hannah-chan. And I think when I reflect on the sutta, I'm thinking particularly of the Kalama Sutta, excuse me. The Buddha did encourage, I don't know if I'd say encourage, but he said, that those famous words, alam he will. It is proper, or that you have doubts about the Dhamma, and it is proper that you consider the Dhamma carefully. And of course, many of the Kalama were very, very open to hear it. Some were a little bit more skeptical, and some were downright cynical, I imagine, because there are a lot of samana who come to their town and say, this is the truth. And and many people used to come saying, yeah, this is true, follow me. But, and the Buddha supported their skepticism, shall we say. And he was able to explain the Dhamma as it is, and many of them understood. So you're saying, because we can say that when the Buddha gave many different discourses, many different sutta, that he was giving the people the opportunity to consider Dhamma. And we can say there was, each sutta is a sort of Dhamma discussion in a way. And he's providing, the Buddha and yourself and the others are providing opportunities for people to consider the truth. And if, of course, and we know that's a great gift, ultimately the best gift there is. And so, yes, I think I like the question you asked before, is there an I? And what can the I do, truly? Or what can truth accomplish? That seems to be at the heart of it. And, you Tanajan and others help us to appreciate what truth is. And that's the best gift that I think can be given to the others. Ultimately, it is up to conditions, whether or not the person can appreciate that type of truth. Well, yeah, that's another matter. And as you said, and as perhaps we would all agree, it will depend upon conditions, but we, I think, should always trust in the nature of the discussion, having a talk about it, discussing it openly, rather than being threatened by it, as some people seem to be, because of their very strong attachment, which they don't seem to be able to see.
And Dhamma discussion is the blessing, one of the blessings of the 38 blessings.
Yes, exactly right, Tanajan. Yeah, Dhamma Sagacha, yes.
So while we have talked about it, finally, what did Buddha say, and discuss on that on and on, more and more, to understand the meaning and the truth of what he said. Not anyone say, but what did Buddha say? And study that word that he taught, he said, on and on, until it's clear. The first blessing, on and on to the last one, is for realization of the truth. Associate with the right person, Kalyanamitta, and so on, is the first of all to realize the truth, the last blessings.
Yeah, that's a good example, Tanajan, to associate with the wise, exactly. But I think probably what is in doubt sometimes in people's mind is, what is the wise one? Who is the wise one? Because people have their own interpretations of the Sumedho, or the wise ones, the Saddhammi, whoever. There are different interpretations as to who is truly wise.
The highest one is the Buddha himself.
True, Tanajan. So then it must come down to a matter of interpretation, because I agree, certainly it seems to me that the Samma Sambuddha is the ultimate authority. And then we have many Acharya who are teaching today, and they say that they represent the Samma Sambuddha. How are we to know? They may say.
So no matter how many words about so many things, all sum up into all Dhammas are anatta. So what is meant by Dhamma and anatta? See, when it's right, it has to be Dhamma and it has to be anatta. Not anyone try to do anything to realize the truth. No understanding of what Dhamma is there.
Yeah, excellent answer, Tanajan.
And all Dhammas are anatta also means no one can make the other understand. The Buddha couldn't make anyone understand. And the clinging, when it's the family or the close friend, hinders, because the clinging and the wishing and the expecting that the others will appreciate the truth that we find so precious. But the problem is not the other problem is the clinging and the wrong idea that I can make the other understand if I put it in another way and so on. But it's not like that, because all dharmas are anatta. Not my understanding, not their understanding, not anyone's understanding, just dharmas arising by conditions. That's all. Who knows about the next moment, whether it will be clinging or right understanding or ignorance, or by conditions. So just the same. Can't hear you, Anne.
I'm sorry. It just went through my mind that, oh my gosh, I have to remember what went through my mind. I'm sorry. I'll come back to this if I can. Oh, I think yeah. I think when we are talking with other people about the Dhamma, and I would think often, maybe most often, what we would like is for the other people to well, they may not catch on, but it may spark an interest, and it could bear fruit later, as Sundara said. But there's a fine line that one walks in having these discussions, I think, and it would only be through understanding at the moment when we would know whether it was being pushed or offered. The talk about the Dhamma. And I think, yeah. So I was starting by thinking we need to be careful, but then I'm thinking, no, we need understanding. Needs to be development of understanding of what is arising at that moment.
It comes back to this moment always, like Sundara mentioned the example of the other might want to talk about the quiet place and we may want to talk about seeing, but what about what they would like to talk about? Okay, let's talk about the quiet place, how it's helpful, why it's useful, whether the reality is there any different from here. So I think it always comes back to this moment. And the confidence that it is about now, here and now. It's not the problem of the other or their wrong understanding. The problem is the here and now. The wishing, the trying, the wanting to have a certain result. What about the understanding this very moment of dhammas as anatta?
True. I like to, and the distinction you made between pushing and offering. I think pushing obviously is not very helpful because it's usually done with akusala,
right?
Invariably. And the offering, yes, that can be done through attachment, we know.
Or not. Or not.
So say again, sorry, I missed that.
The offering, you said it could be done with attachment, and yes, I agree it could, or not with attachment.
That seems exactly right. Oh yeah, there's that option also by conditions, as we would say. So, but I like the distinction. I appreciate the distinction because that will be often indicative of kusala, and not. And I think, they say that the quality of the response is often an indication of the quality of the chitta that offered the original comment. And I think there's more likelihood of getting a positive outcome, or perhaps an outcome that is beneficial when there is the offering. And I think what Sarah has said is actually also useful to bear in mind, because when we look at it from their perspective and talk to that point, and that can display a willingness to try to appreciate the other person's perspective, and then using that as a foundation to talk about Dhamma and what is true, as opposed to what is not so true.
Alberta, do you have any comments on any of these topics?
Oh, no,
We can't hear you.
Yes, I don't have any comments on the it's a difficult topic in the sense that it's not about the present Dhamma, and it's easy to go astray from the reality and thinking in terms of people and things, and not easy to have metaphor for people who disagree with what you think, and or say something that you don't agree with.
I think that's so true, Alberto. I'm reminded of something I heard recently, which goes like this: many people are not really interested in your opinion. They're interested in their opinion coming out of your mouth. So it takes a lot of as I read it there, trust and truth and an appreciation of it to be able to and then of course the gift of being able to convey it with metta rather than akusala.
Yeah, talking about the truth. I mean, we hear the truth, and I think when you hear the truth, when you understand it. Otherwise, how can you know that you are hearing the truth? Because everyone says that he's saying the truth of the teachings of the Buddha, and can you understand when they say sit and close your eyes and concentrate on the tip of your nose, or that sort of thing? Can you see the truth of that? I mean, some people maybe see the truth of it, but or maybe when hearing about anatta and know you, they don't see the truth of it. I think that's one of the biggest the biggest obstacles for everyone approaching, even for me or you or anyone, when listening to the true teachings. It boils down to anatta and giving up the idea of I can understand, I can improve my understanding, I can do things better, and that's that's why it's not easy even to get angry with people who don't see as don't share the idea that you share, because they're so deep, basically. Too deep even for us, usually. But we are learning little by little, and how can we expect too much or even a little? Yeah, maybe expecting a little because little expectation because of little understanding, of little I didn't mean that. Didn't mean.
I think when I understood you to say then towards the end, Alberto, is that even if there is a little understanding, that's helpful, and it can build upon appreciating the Dhamma at deeper levels. So I think it's about being delicate with the other, as Tanajan would say, to be friendly. And I do believe that people reciprocate when moments of metta are there. They are less likely to be defensive or and more ready to consider what you say. So I think, as they say, it's a lot to do with the packaging, how the Dhamma is presented, and how skillfully that's done. How much kusala is involved, or I think it's so easy, as has been alluded to this morning by others, that we just push our own agenda and neglect Dhamma at those moments, which is what we are trying to convey after all. So there does seem to be a touch of irony when there is a kusala involved, or perhaps more than a touch of irony. So it'll always come down to the present moment, ultimately, yes. And having the metta and the karuna also to convey the Dhamma with as much wisdom as is possible, or as that conditions allow.
Okay, we just have a few moments left, so a few minutes left. Let's let Ajahn add a little more to finish the discussion.
It cannot be clear at all if we don't talk about just one reality at a time. That's why, what are we talking about now? Just one reality? To understand it clearer. Otherwise, it's just like the same, talking about the story of this and that. Different occasions, that's all. But the truth is so true that it can be considered to understand each different one as it is, not the other at all. For example, if we talk just about one word, meditation, see, what is it? What reality is there? From moment to moment. So no matter what the question is about, we have to consider carefully of what are there. Each one is different. Otherwise, there cannot be the clear understanding of any reality because they all come together as the story about it. Can there be clear understanding of any reality when we talk about the situation or many words together as some events? So what have we talked about?
Must be the reality must be the ignorance. Can only be ignorance and attachment. And
Is there attachment now? In order to understand attachment, see, whatever is there, ignorance is there with attachment. When there's no understanding, no other reality, whatever is there appearing is the object of ignorance and attachment instantly. Something there, it's there, what is there? Not understanding it, what is there? So there is unknown attachment to that object already. Abhijjasava, kamasava, ditthasava, bhavasava, who knows? I list at moment of what is it, what is there? Attachment is there, ignorance is there. That's why learn to understand different levels of attachment. To understand it is so very subtle. Only Panya can understand the different degrees of attachment. For example, right now, when there's no understanding of the seeing, there is attachment to it. When there's no understanding of what is seen, it's object of attachment. After seeing, see, what else? No understanding and attachment is there already in the moment, unknown, but it's there because no understanding. But when there is the understanding, it's there by conditions, see, it's a reality. Gradually consider it in different manners, different aspects, little by little, can condition moment of beginning to not just say it's not self, it's not anything. But the truth is that the nature of it is that which experiences what is there. For seeing, a whisper object is seen right now by that reality which experiences it. Even there is attachment, it's not known then because what is known by condition. Because anyone who understands see as it is not from just by oneself or try so hard to understand it or ignore it. So how can there be the understanding of seeing right now? The word about it is for considering carefully about the nature of it, to let go the idea of it's me seeing now, and that which is seen is something. And this is the path, the only way to get closer and closer to the nature of seeing and that which is seen, not at the same time, depending on conditions, because they do not appear as they are at all. Until right understanding is there, beginning to understand the truth of it, even it's the reality which arises and experiences the object, but the object is different by conditions. When it's sound, it conditions hearing, and hearing is not the sound at all, Sound appears, but hearing does not appear at all because no attention, no thought about it. So before it can be the object of understanding, it has to have confidence of that which is heard, like sound, smell, or visible object, cannot appear without the reality which arises and experience it at moment of seeing. And we learn more. Only one moment of seeing. So how deep and subtle reality is, and to what we take for a moment, in truth, how short it is, split seconds moment of only one, we say, moment of seeing. It means that only the seeing is there and then gone. Gradually learn a little more about what is there to understand the truth that it's gone after it has arisen, experience the object. Its function is only just arise to experience the object. It's no one and no thing at all, because as soon as it has arisen, it's gone, just like before it's there. Sunyata. So the world is sunyata, just arise and falls away by condition, unexpectedly, and ignorance is there as long as there's no understanding of the nature of what is there as it is.
Thank you.